Friends, there's exactly one free agent that the Twins must sign this offseason. So today we're going to talk about that, as well as what I'm expecting to see in this upcoming Rangers Diamondbacks World Series. And we'll also take a quick trip through the news of the day. This is Locked On Twins.
You are Locked On Twins, your daily Minnesota Twins podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And welcome back to Locked On Twins. I'm your host, Brandon Warren, and you can unfollow me on Twitter at Brandon_WARNE. Thanks for making Locked On Twins your first listen every day. We're free and available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube, and of course, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Again, always feel free to be active in the comments. Please give us a 5-star review, like, subscribe, whatever is an option at the platform you're using. We'd love to hear from you. And also to at Brand_Warren at Locked On Twins. If you have ideas for questions you'd like to ask, things you'd like to see on the show, all that sort of stuff. But without further ado, today's episode is brought to you by Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. We are into the news of the day, and there's perhaps not a ton, but there is enough on the meat on the bone to break down a few things and how they relate to your Minnesota Twins. First, and I think foremost, Twins general manager Thad Levine is out of the running for president of baseball operations in Boston. First reported by Jeremy Nygaard of Twins Daily, but also followed up by The Athletic, including Dan Hayes. It's going to be Craig Breslow. So still a Twins angle there, former Twins lefty on separate occasions, but he will be taking over the front office for the Red Sox. Ivy League educated lefty, a lot of things going for him, and very well regarded mind in the business, especially on the pitching side. So we'll see what happens there. But for the Twins' sake, good to see Thad Levine hanging around. Not that I don't think there are other people in the farm system or front office farm system, if such a thing exists, to move up and fill his role. But again, the Twins have done well of late with Thad Levine in charge, so you'd want them to stay. You'd want things to stay the same. And so in that case, I at least am pleased Thad is staying. I know it's not necessarily a consensus based on what I've seen on Twitter and that sort of thing, but alas, it is what it is. A Jake Cave pinch hit flyout to right field ends the season for the Phillies. And I feel like there was probably just some catharsis for Twins fans that the Jake Cave experience went so far into October that someone else got to experience it. Cave pinch hit for Christian Pache, drives a 1-2 sweeper to right. Nice deep fly ball, but doesn't get out. And that's that. Arizona wins the series in 7, 4-3. 4-2 for the game. And what an exciting World Series we have coming here. Again, there will be, I guess, a very little bit of Twins flavor with Mitch Garver. And, it'll be interesting for Twins fans to watch all the same. Robbie Grossman, too. I shouldn't forget him. It'll be interesting for Twins fans to watch all the same, maybe just not with the hashtag old friend mantra in mind. So Jake Cave flies out, ends the season for the Phillies. Andrew Stevenson and Jose De Leon have been taken off the 40-man roster, outrighted, and have elected free agency. JDL probably not going to pitch much, if at all, next year after having surgery on his right arm. I wouldn't be shocked. If it were me, I would try to sign him to a 2-year minor league deal like the Twins did with Brock Stewart. I don't know. I liked the general idea of what De Leon was capable of and would like a longer look at him. But again, at the same time, I know he's also a reliever and so may not be viewed as someone the Twins necessarily feel like they have to keep around and rehab for a year, as unfeeling or hollow as that may sound. It's just kind of the nature of the business. So with Stevenson, I think I could see a team like, I don't know, maybe the Royals picking him up and giving him 500 plate appearances to see what could happen. Maybe not 500, but at least a couple hundred, because he was so good at St. Paul this year. Certainly not young, 29 if I recall correctly, but he would be cheap speed and possible production for teams who, maybe are second division teams or worse yet. If you were a team like the Royals, A's, I could see the A's definitely doing it. But just with that said, I'll be curious to see where he lands, because I don't know if he will sense that the opportunity is really that good in Minnesota after such a good year at St. Paul, because it is just a numbers game with the Twins outfield at this point. We'll keep an eye on Mitch Garver's status for the World Series. Brian Abreu drilling him with a pitch, and Garver had precautionary X-rays, have not been. We don't know the result, but it was a 97-mile-an-hour fastball to the ribs. Certainly not good, and we will see what things look like for him. Quite a year for Garver, and heading into free agency too. So good for him to get to the World Series, to have a nice year, and to have the opportunity to finally in his career decide where he wants to play. So we'll keep an eye on Garver and hope that everything comes out there. Arizona Fall League update. If you haven't heard much from the Arizona Fall League Twins, or in this case, the Glendale Desert Dogs, it's probably for good reason, because the Twins are not exactly bathing themselves in glory so far. Andrew Cassetti is 2-for-20 with a 530 OPS. Aaron Sabato has popped 3 homers and 3 doubles, but is still hitting only 163, 676 OPS. Kalai Rosario hitting 167 with a 749 OPS, 5 homers factoring prominently there. So on the offensive side, Twins not doing all that much. Malik Barrington has been in 4 games and has given up 5 earned runs in 3 1/3 innings. So as you might expect, that's a pretty ugly ERA. But Jordan Carr has been pretty solid. 3 games, 3 starts, 12 innings, 7 strikeouts, 1 walk, and only 2 earned runs. So 1.50 ERA, which, again, it's short starts. So the strikeouts, who really knows? But just kind of watching some of the highlights, lefty with some funk, might be the kind of guy that the Twins, I feel like every year they have a pitcher that kind of surprises you that they put on the 40-man roster. Legumina last year, Brent Hedrick even, not guys who aren't good, but just, you don't know where they stand in terms of the organization in regard to where they are on their Rule 5 status. So we will see what becomes of this Arizona Fall League, as there's still, some time left. But to this point, certainly not great, especially for the offensive players coming from the Twins. Eric Lauer has elected free agency from the Brewers. He was outrighted. Absolutely disastrous season with the Brewers, 6.56 ERA, .167 WHIP. And with that said, though, he is 28 and very has a track record of being a reliable starter. And I want the Twins to go after him. Lefty, interesting stuff. And again, he was so bad last year that there shouldn't be that much competition to get him. But he's at an age where you take a chance on a guy like that. I would really like to see the Twins try and land him. I don't know if it would be a minor league deal. Again, then it wouldn't affect the 40-man roster as much, which is going to be important with the upcoming crunch, bringing guys off the 60-day IL and also adding guys in advance of the Rule 5. But Eric Lauer electing free agency. And the last one, it appears as though that's it for Dusty Baker as manager with the Astros. The Athletic sharing that story right around, or basically at the end of the Game 7 loss to the Rangers. And so I'll be curious to see. It sounds like he doesn't want to leave the game altogether, but it's not certain if he wants to manage. To me, if he is leaving this opportunity at this stage of his life and career, maybe even more so career, I feel like if he's going to have any sort of role, it's going to be some kind of executive, even either figurehead or actually hands-on executive role. In which case, hard to say which team that would come with, because he's got such a legacy with so many different organizations. But that's the news as we see it today. We're going to come back and talk about what I'm looking for in the World Series. We have the matchup. What is it going to look like? Because I don't think people really expected one of these teams to make it, let alone two. So we'll be right back. Before we do that, let's talk about our friends at the Gametime app. If you've been looking for tickets, if you're frustrated trying to get Vikings tickets now that they are back on track, or if you're trying to see a comedy show, any sort of thing you can imagine happening in the Twin Cities area, easy for me to say, check out the Gametime app. Easy to download, or you can go to gametime.co if you want to use your browser. But if you're looking for tickets and you're having a frustrating experience, or you just want the best price or last minute tickets, pretty much any reason that you need to buy tickets, go to Gametime first. There are last minute tickets, flash deals, zone deals. It's so easy though. You see the view from your seat before you buy. You know exactly where you're going to be sitting, whether it's nosebleeds or in that entertainer's spit zone, which sounds gross, but hey, different strokes for different folks. You see the prices up front, and in other words, you get the deal and you don't see any of these hidden fees after the fact. You know exactly what you're paying. And with a couple quick taps, you're done. They are also, they have the tickets up to the start of the show, game, whatever, plus an hour. So if you are late to the party, you don't have to worry about the tickets all disappearing. And maybe best yet, the Gametime guarantee means you'll get the best price no matter what. If you find tickets in the same section and row for less elsewhere, Gametime will credit you 110% of the difference. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off. Download Gametime today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. All right, we're back in the saddle here. Segment number 2, the bullpen, and it's what are we looking for in the World Series. Thanks for making Locked On Twins, by the way, your first listen every day. Working with Aram Layton to come on and talk about the Twins farm system, and he says he loves it. So really enthused about what that might look like as an episode, because I also really like this Twins farm system. I know they've traded guys out of it, but they've had some picks that have replenished it. Wink, wink, Walker Jenkins. But also, too, just some guys having, pop-up performances, guys like Austin Martin coming back to life. A lot of fun stuff. So look for that here, hopefully in the next couple of days. We're still trying to iron out schedules. In the meantime, we'll talk about the offseason and what that means for your Twins. All right. What are we looking for in this World Series? Because someone made a good point. Who cares if there are not going to be any Fox ratings for this, or whoever covers it? Who cares about ratings? I don't. I shouldn't. Why is it always something we talk about? Oh, the networks are going to hate this because of the ratings. So what? It doesn't make it any less the World Series. What I'm looking for, of course, the first stolen base, because free Taco Bell, right? I mean, end of the day, who doesn't want that? Arizona has stolen 16 bases so far in the postseason. The Texas Rangers have stolen 9, which is third most, but they haven't been caught. Philly is 16 of 19, Texas 9 of 9. So pretty sorry, not Philly, Arizona. Philly and Arizona were both 16 for 19. Arizona 16 for 19. But yeah, so both teams stealing bases in October. Seems likely that the free taco will be ours and probably quite quickly. Both offenses been strong in October. We'll talk about that, but I'm watching for the stolen base just because it does become a bit of a lost art in today's game. Now, different teams are going to do it different amounts, but what's so fascinating is how the game evolves and how some teams do things they haven't done all season long in October. And one of those things too is pitching, like how teams use their pitching staff. Now, this is how the Diamondbacks went through Game 7. It was Fott, Mantiply, Thompson, Saalfrank, Ginkel, Seawald. Couple things there. Starter goes 4 innings, solid innings, 2 earned runs, and that was that. In an elimination game, all bets are off. You're not going 7 innings with your starter and then piecing it together after that. And each game earlier in the series, things piece together a little differently. And then a lot of it depends on who your starter is too. Because if you've got a Zach Wheeler, Zach Gallen type, they're a lot less likely to be put on that 3-4 inning limit. With that said, Diamondbacks get through Game 7 without using Gallen. There's going to be time off. The series doesn't start until Friday. So it's not as though pitching won't have some time to rest. But at the same time, there's going to be an extra day for Texas. And I don't know how much that matters at this time of year because guys are pushing through things. Guys are throwing shorter stints, so maybe don't need as much rest. But with that said, things should be pretty well lined up for the Game 1 pitching matchups that you expect. Now, what does that look like for the Rangers? I would guess Jordan Montgomery, but I can't say for sure. And obviously, I would guess Zach Gallen for the Diamondbacks. But the Diamondbacks winning Game 7 without using Gallen, to me, is pretty big. Because, again, you can't go into the game with the idea that you're holding anything back. Like, you look back now and you're like, oh, cool, yeah, they got Gallen. Good. He's going to be closer to where he needs to be. But if you look back on that game and you lose 5-4 instead of win 4-2 and Gallen doesn't get used, it's different. And I know because of the in the moment of it, if you get to a point where it's the 8th inning and you've got 2 runners on and Gallen is available, but you stick with your reliever who's done it all season long, reliever gives up the homer, you held back Gallen. That's where the controversy comes into play. So, again, to have won without using Gallen is big. Even if you couldn't have predicted it happening just based on the fact that you knew that pretty much every pitch was going to be insanely stressful and that not using Gallen could easily blow up in your face. But 3 full days to reset pitching for the Rangers, 2 for the Diamondbacks. But both pitching staffs have been pretty solid in October as well. 3.23 ERA for the Diamondbacks. You split that out, it's 3.63 from starters, 2.94 from relievers. For Texas, 3.67 with a 3.62 and a 3.72 between starters and relievers. So split right down the middle, but very little variance for the Rangers. What I'm looking at is that Diamondbacks bullpen, a lot of fun pitchers who you may not know that much about, but a 2.94 ERA this postseason. But the Rangers, 3.72. One of the highest ERAs for a postseason bullpen this year, but they're getting the job done for the most part. And if your offense can help you there, Texas's offense has an 825 OPS and averaging almost 6 runs per game in the postseason, then you can live with a 3.67 ERA, 3.72 out of your relievers because you're putting up the runs. Arizona, meanwhile, 4.25 runs per game, 741 OPS. They're going to need that pitching to step up, especially the relievers, because they're going to be exposed more and more and more because as the series goes on, it becomes more and more crunch time and less likely that starters will have any sort of length to them. So if the Diamondbacks can continue what they've done relief pitching-wise, That's going to be, I think, their best shot because the Rangers offense is just going to keep going and going and going and really basically need to outpace their pitching staff, which they've done it all year long. I believe they can do it in October. They have done it in October. Yeah, so it's gonna be a fun matchup. It's gonna be a curious matchup. I'm gonna watch the platoon matchups too, because again, I still think maybe Twins fans don't super get that platoons are used the way they are in October, even if it sits down a guy who's super hot. Evan Carter has been incredible for the Rangers in October, and he has platooned with Robbie Grossman. Now, nobody's going to question Bruce Bochy because he is that guy as a manager. It's his third pennant winner with a different team. He's in rarefied air. He's an all-timer. Other teams do this. Like, this is not a Rocco Baldelli thing. So I want to see what other things they do, because I also think the Twins, watching this, you want to get the idea that the Twins are going to continue moving in that direction, right? You want to make sure that you think you're going to continue progressing as a team. So I want to see if the Twins adopt these managerial strategies. I'm going to watch Jordan Montgomery because I want to see the Twins sign him. Simple as that. When we come back, we're going to talk about the one player the Twins absolutely need to sign this offseason. I think you know who it is. But first, we're going to talk about our friends at FanDuel. It's October. You know it's October. You look outside, you can see that it is October, and that means October baseball is back. You can make your postseason debut with FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. And boy, we're getting down to crunch time here with the World Series. As few as 4 and as many as 7 games remaining in the Major League Baseball season. It feels like just yesterday that it started. But join FanDuel today, and you'll get started with $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet. Just visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to create your new account. Then you can get in on the action from the first pitch until the final out. Bet on everything from strikeouts to home runs to who will win the game. And if you don't want to wait for the whole game to get that W, predict what will happen in the next at-bat with quick bets. So head on over to FanDuel.com/lockedon right now. Step up to the plate this postseason with $200 in bonus bets guaranteed. Make every moment more with FanDuel, official sports betting partner of Major League Baseball. All right, we're into the 7th inning stretch. We're coming down the pipe here, and it is time to tell you who I think the Minnesota Twins absolutely, without question, must sign this offseason. I think you know who it is. I'll give you a hint. His dad played in the major leagues. He fits in 2 very, very important spots that the Twins need help. Oh, did I mention he's won an MVP? It's Cody Bellinger. And I've been talking about Cody Bellinger for a while. The fit is obvious. Byron Buxton plays center field. Well, when he doesn't, who does? This year was Michael A. Taylor. He did a fine job. I would like to aim higher. And that's not because Michael A. Taylor didn't do a tremendous job. I think if I had a team, I would love to have Michael A. Taylor as my 4th outfielder, who I would use a lot. Defensively, pinch running. He's got some thunder in his bat. Very, very nice player. But I don't know how much I want him coming up in big spots. He just swings at everything. You know, he had big moments. This is not an indictment on Michael A. Taylor anyway. Michael A. Taylor's not Cody Bellinger. The Twins have Byron Buxton in center and Alex Kirilloff at first, except when they don't. So who plays center when Buxton's out? Who plays first when Kirilloff's out? Well, Cody Bellinger plays both of those. The Twins filled in capably this season with Donovan Solano at first base. And I think if you told people that Donnie Solani was 3rd on the team in plate appearances, now they'd be surprised. If you told them the day he signed, they'd say, wow, well, looking forward to watching this 70-win Twins team. The Twins need a contingency at first base. Alex Kirilloff's an incredible hitter, a very, very good player, but they just need protection. protection comes in many forms. I think first base protection is not that hard to find. You know, there's always a guy like Trey Mancini out there, or, you know, Cole Calhoun became a first baseman. There's always guys like that out there. But to have someone who can fill both the roles that you need in a dual fashion while still retaining the ability to play somewhere else besides. Like if you can't, if on a day Byron Buxton is available for center and Alex Kirilloff is at first, you could still play Bellinger in a corner. You could still DH Bellinger. You could still play Bellinger in the outfield and DH Buxton, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Like we're running through the Rolodex. All of those things are possible. That makes him, to me, the perfect fit. Bleacher Report in June projected a 3-year, $78 million contract for Bellinger this offseason. He's got a $12.5 million mutual option that has absolutely no chance of being exercised by him. Obviously, the Cubs are going to try to execute their side. So he'll get a nice little buyout, be on the free agent market, and, that's that. 378 is going to be low. I don't know if he's going to, so he had the 2 terrible years after the Dodgers, wrong LA team, won the World Series. He had the shoulder stuff, just really, really rough, and then turns it around with the Cubs this year. He could certainly, I think, push for like a 6-year mega deal, $200 million, and probably get it. He could also do a 2-year deal for, let's say, $70 million and hit that market again, hopefully assuming he has 2 good years to, secure that bag in his early 30s. Like he's got some options. I think a marriage of the two might be an opt-out kind of deal. 6 years with opt-outs after 2 and 4, probably $30 million per year. But basically, all this boils down to is the Twins can afford another guy like this because Buxton is signed as a premium talent at a lower rate. Now, again, the best ability is availability. Nobody's running from that. Correa on a 6-year deal is guaranteed 6 years. Again, a luxury at the number of years for the pedigree of the player. Still making plenty of money, but it doesn't feel like an albatross around your neck like a 13-year deal would, obviously. So the Twins can do another big contract. Do they want to do 6 years, $200 million with an opt-out after 2, and then the front 2 years loaded up? I mean, I think I would do that. Would he? Hard to say. But the Twins can do this for a few reasons. It fits their MO in the sense that his price tag is not going to be as high if those 2 years hadn't happened where he was just brutal with the Dodgers. This is a bona fide, if you cut those 2 years out, a bona fide probably half step, maybe full step behind Ohtani in free agency. Yeah, full step because he doesn't pitch, obviously. But $300 million is not out of the conversation if he's the guy he was his MVP season with the Dodgers. The Twins will love the idea that they can get a deal on a third possible superstar. They already have a deal on an ace. This will also allow the Twins to do what they do best, which is trade prospects for a good pitcher who is cheap. If you use up all your available budget space on Bellinger, you need a cheap starter. You flip Emmanuel Rodriguez to Miami for Jesus Luzardo. You go to that well again because Luzardo is damn good. Miami still needs hitting. And I mean, Emmanuel Rodriguez in Miami would be perfect for him too. He'd be an incredible fit for him. He'd be a stud there. The fans would love him. And Luzardo is a stud. But the Twins need a center fielder, first baseman, one or the other. It can't hurt to have a guy who plays both. You don't see center field, first base that much. Again, won't get as much money as he might have if the first or the last 2 seasons before this hadn't happened. Again, they did happen, and then you have to take that into account. But the Twins can afford another big contract. Like I'm not even going to get into projected payroll numbers, whatever. Guys are coming off, and arbitration will happen. The Twins can do this. They're still not anywhere near the top 10 in payroll, not anywhere near the luxury tax. Get it done. Cody Bellinger, Minnesota Twins, 2014. I doubt it'll happen, but I think it should. Again, thanks, though. That's a wrap. That's it. That's all we have for you. That's it, and that's all, man. Thanks for hanging out with us. We got another episode here coming probably a little later today. We got bunched up yesterday, and so we're trying to knock these out. But if we can get Mr. Layton to come on, it'll either be him or we'll probably talk maybe a few little off-season scenarios in terms of kind of like a make-your-own adventure book. You know, the books where you read and then go to page 15. We'll have some fun with it. But until then, this is Locked On Twins saying peace.